everyone. Today I wanted to share with you guys some tips and ideas on how to use the Bliss Studio Valentine pack, which is going to include some templates for you as well as some overlays. Let's start first with the templates. So what we have in front of us here are the templates that are included. The first two you can see are long and skinny. These are intended to be Facebook timeline templates, and you can see where the gray boxes are on all of these. That is where the images are going to be placed. The three that are here are going to be card templates. They're already sized as a 5x7, so the idea behind it is if you have a professional lab that you use, you can send it off to get press printed cards that are 5x7, or you can purchase a 5x7 print if you prefer to go that route, or if you just want to use it to send in an email or share on social media, that's also an option. So to get started, I'll give you kind of a little bit of idea that each of these you can see are square. So when we use our images to go in, we're going to want to crop them to a 1:1 ratio or to a square so that it's easier to get inside the templates. On the second, card 2 and card 1, those are a 4:5 ratio. So before we pull the image into layers, we will make sure that we crop those images first. So we're going to start with something easy. Let's go ahead and grab one of the 5x7 templates. I'm going to take that template into layers. Okay, and then I'm going to head back to Browse. So I'm going to click on the Browse, and I'm going to navigate to my files. So I've got a Valentine session here that I'm going to pull an image in. I'm going to start with this photo here, and you can tell that it's a horizontal, and I said at the beginning that that square was a 4:5 ratio, so I'm going to want to go ahead and crop this first. So I'm going to pull this into Develop, or you can use effects if you prefer. And I opened a PSD, so hang on just a second here. Okay, and we're going to click on the crop tool, and in the crop drop down, I'm just going to grab the 4:5, 8:10 ratio so we can get it the right size. It's still going the wrong direction, so I'm going to flip this so it's 4 tall by 5, or 4 wide, excuse me, by 5 tall. So we're going to get this in the way we want and go ahead and hit apply. And then from Develop, I'm going to go ahead and click right on Layers so that we can bring that photo in 2 layers where our template is sitting. This here asks if we want to add as a new layer or make it a new photo. We're going to add that file as a layer so that it's going to place it on top of the template that we have sitting in Layers currently. So we'll give this just a second to pull itself in. Okay, you can see over here on the right, you have 2 layers. We have the composite on top, which is the one that we just pulled out of Develop, and then we have our card on the bottom. Don't panic. I see that it's completely filling the screen. That is okay. But the first tip that I want to do, just to keep things easier, you can click on any of these layers and rename them if that helps you. And as we get to one of the other templates where it has 4 photos, you're in 5 layers, sometimes it's kind of nice to be able to name those so that you know what you're looking for. So I'm going to just put photo because I know this is only 1 layer on this one. But the first thing after you have those named is you're going to go ahead and grab that top layer so you can see that we'll make sure we're selected. So the top layer is selected. I'm going to go over here to my tools and I'm going to grab the move tool. So because this image is so large, I can't see that I can move this. So I'm going to click and drag it down until I get the corner little pulls here. And then this is the most important tip I can give you guys. Make sure that you hold the shift key down when you resize this. Most people already know that, but if you don't, just in case, if you do not hold that shift key down, it's going to change the proportions of your image. So we want to keep that as a 4:5. So I'm just going to slowly drag it down and then move this back up. We're going to hold that shift key down again, and I'm going to resize this to fit this gray box. So as soon as you have that in, you are complete. So fairly easy on the template. From here, you're going to want to save it out. If you hit save here, it's going to save a layered PSD. So you're going to want to do a save as and save a JPEG or whatever file type that you need. Or you can export out. If you prefer to use export, you can export out a JPEG file for you to be able to send off either to a lab or to post online. But that's pretty much as easy as it is to do one of these templates. Let's try and let's go ahead and close this. And let me run really quickly through the one that has 4. I won't do too much on this, but this guy here has a block of 4. So we're gonna pull it into layers as well. And we need a couple of images. So let's head back to browse. I'm gonna go back to my Valentine session and I'm gonna grab this little guy here and pull it into effects. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the first one and just crop it. So for this one, it is a 1:1 or a square ratio. So we're gonna come up here and do the 1:1 square and adjust that how we want. Hit apply and we'll pull that into layers and we're gonna add it as a layer. So make sure you click on that because the add photo as a new photo is going to be your default. So you want to make sure that you add it as a new layer. Okay, we're going to make sure we select that top layer. We're going to select the move tool. And let's grab, click and drag until we can see the corner. Hold that shift key down and resize this to fit one of the boxes. Okay, and we'll hit apply on that. So, oops, I can see it's a little outside the box. So we have that. And then here is where I said it's a little bit better to go ahead and name these. So over here on the right, we'll call this photo 1, or actually let's call it Lily, so I know it's Lily. And then let's head back to browse. And let's grab the shot of Lennox. I'm gonna go into effects or develop, doesn't matter. Let's grab our crop tool. Crop that a little bit, hit apply, and then head back to layers. So now this is going to pull in. So again, like I said earlier, this is going to come up as default, so make sure you add as a layer. And when this comes into layers, we'll select that layer. So it's going to come in as a bottom layer, so let's grab the second layer, grab your move tool, and adjust that. So pretty easy. If it goes outside a little bit, you're okay. So just make sure that you're covering up that gray box as closely as you can. And you can head over here and we'll name this Lennox. So I can see I missed just a little bit. If you miss just a tiny bit, you can also use the arrow keys. It actually looks like it's over top of it now. To shift it just a tiny, like 1 pixel or 2 pixels, you can use the arrow keys when you're on the move tool and just move it just a slight little bit. You can see it moving with the arrow keys now. Okay. So again, same as the last one. Once you're done with this, go ahead and save it out and you have a 5x7 card. Another cute thing with these two, if you print on press printed, there's a little bit of space on a few of them, so that you can actually write on them. So here you have this one, you can write your little, you know, love your family or love your kids' names or something on here as well. If you wanted to make little Valentines to send out, that's one way you can utilize those as well. All right, so let's move on to the overlays. So I have included a couple of bokeh, heart bokeh overlays that I really like that I wanted to play with a little bit. I'm going to take this file. We have it in effects. In your presets, you should have a Bliss Valentine pack. And in here is going to be the overlays. A couple of them are words. You can see there's a little bee mine up here at the top and some hearts at the bottom and hearts in here. But I want to talk a little bit about the Bliss Heart Bokeh. There's a 1 and 2, so there's 2 different ones to pick from. Mostly the placement of the hearts is the only thing you're going to see different in the 2 of these. But here's one and here's the other. So these are a little bit smaller. I think these ones are a little bit bigger. But kind of depending on your image might make a difference between which one that you use. With these, I have the saturation pulled all the way down over here to -100 because I want the image behind to kind of pull through on this overlay. If you prefer, you can double click on the saturation so we can reset that to 0. The original bokeh was kind of a warm tone. You can see it here. It's kind of a yellow and orange. You can also take the hue shift slider and adjust that and get a different color if you prefer a blue or a green or a pink or a purple. If you increase that saturation up a little bit too, you can get a little bit more out of those. So if you want to do kind of a fun color over top, the pink or purple, you can pull that off as well. I have the mode set on subtle, so it's just a little bit of an overlay there. If I didn't want the heart to show up on the rose, you can always mask it out just a little bit. You can change the mode if you prefer. Keep in mind that it is an overlay, so it's going to go over top of the whole photograph, which means it's going to make adjustments to everything. So I prefer the more subtle look to the bokehs, as well as pulling the opacity down a little bit as well. Like I said, as I started in your preset, it's going to have the saturation down at 0, so that's kind of where I prefer it, unless you have an image that is good for the more pinks or the purples if you want to use a different color in there. That's pretty much it for the heart bokeh tips. I hope that you guys will play around with those and give your Valentine pics a little bit of bling. Let's head back to Browse and grab another photo. Let's go ahead and grab this guy and pull it back in effects. The one last piece of the Valentine pack that I have included, you have the Valentine bokeh we just talked about, but we also have some overlays, and they're also in your templates that you have, but if you want to use them on your own, I've got a couple. There's a Be Mine, there's a little heart design that goes all the way over it. You can see over here, Bliss Heart Love, and then just a Bliss heart overlay that has little hearts in the corners. These are meant for a horizontal image. That's how they're lined up. They're in your textures, so you can find them inside your textures or use the presets that you have here. I have them already kind of set how I'd want to use them, but depending on your image, you might want to make a couple adjustments, and I would play a little bit in the textures pane, bring that overlay up a little bit so the opacity is all the way up, especially if you have it on a lighter image and you want to be able to see it. The overlays are there just for you to kind of add a little something more to your photo. If you want to put this on, like I said, social media earlier, or if you want to make your own card, you can use the little overlays on top. You could do a combination of them. So if we want to insert, we can right click on this bottom one and insert the preset, and we can add the little hearts on top, so you have both of the overlays on there for you. But feel free to play a little bit with these. You can scale them a little bit, but I have them pretty much set the way that they should appear on your photograph. If you have a vertical image, it is going to not look quite right, so I would keep them on a horizontal. But those are the fun little guys that I have added into your Valentine pack. I hope you have some time to play with them, and if you get anything posted, and you make sure to tag us or tag ON1 so that I can see what you guys have done. Thanks so much.